welcome back to my channel. As always, I hope you're doing absolutely amazing. And tonight on the show, y'all, 53s versus doubles, plus my favorite switch on Cascadia models prior to 2017. So stay tuned. So, welcome back to my show, y'all. And let's say you're in the situation where you just lost your job, or you are getting your CDL for the first time. Well, we got to discuss some endorsements here, because without them, you're going to limit yourself on what kind of trailers you can pull. So, with the normal CDL, there's a half dozen different types of trailers you can pull. They are as follows: dry vans, refrigeration units, bulk trailers, flatbeds, intermodal containers, and perhaps the parking lot. So I'll start with dry vans first, since those are going to be your most common. Dry vans are typically used for pulling general boxed freight. And while some dry van operators may require a hazardous materials endorsement, most of the dry van operators don't. And their freight is relatively simple. You just shut the doors once you're loaded up, make sure your trailer's properly connected, and then go. Now you go into refrigeration units. Those are basically just dry van trailers with the addition of a very large air conditioner that is used to keep food cold. So, if you're gonna go with a reefer, as we like to call them in this industry, and by the way, reefer has nothing to do with the substance that people smoke, so to get that off your mind already. But you are going to have to fill up an additional fuel tank, and you are going to have to make sure that your food stays cold. Or warm, depending on where you're running. Then there's the bulk trailers. Typically these are end dumps, and there's also pneumatics, and there's also trash trailers, which, by the way, are very stinky. You might get sick pulling those, and because it's kind of like pulling a trailer that's got spoiled food on it. Or you might actually be pulling human feces or a rock or other substances that are just dirty and gross. And for those people who pull those kind of trailers, I feel for you. Then there's hopper bottoms. Hopper bottoms are very cool because, well, they are technically a bulk trailer. The difference is how you load them and what goes in them. Most of the time, hopper bottoms are pulling stuff like cotton, corn, soybeans, wheat, and other agricultural commodities, though they are versatile enough that you can even pull stuff like crushed glass with them too. So, if you have the opportunity to pull a hopper bottom as your day job, then you're just really, really in it. And it's really, really cool. I would encourage you to do that if that's an option available to you. Then you've got pneumatics, which are basically kind of like a tanker, but just very lightweight. And if you're going to pull a pneumatic, you might as well go ahead and get your tanker endorsement, because if you get your tanker endorsement, you're open up to additional options, such as pulling gasoline and pulling liquids. Then there's intermodal, or containers as I call them. The only additional training required to pull containers, beyond perhaps if they're overweight and then you have to have overweight permits, is that you have to make sure that you have zip ties so that your chassis and container are secured to each other, and you have to make sure that your chassis is actually working. So, let's say you want to get into something a little longer or a little more fluid. Well, if you want to get into more fluid, then definitely just go after that tanker endorsement and be done with it. And while you're at it, get your hazmat too, so you can pull the stuff that people actually need, like gasoline. Because then you're going to be set for a long time. But if you don't want to pull hazardous materials, there's another option available to you. And you're looking at a driver who doesn't. Yes, I pull doubles. So in addition to all the normal CDL trailers, I can pull a specially designed trailer that hitches up to an additional trailer, and it's really, really awesome. Now, the pay is usually just a little bit more than what you would get pulling a dry van or a refrigeration unit. But some of the features on doubles and longer combination vehicles are unique. So the first thing is, when you're hooking a set of doubles, you have this thing in between the two trailers called a dolly. It's basically just a trailer that attaches to the lead trailer. And once that's hooked up, and then you hook up your rear trailer, you're just going to make sure the valves on the back are closed off and that all your air lines and your chains and your electrical power are all hooked up. And when you get to the truck stop, you just got to remember that you cannot back with these. Because if you do try to back up, you're going to be limited to backing to around, let's say, 50 feet. Or just enough to maybe get yourself out of a fuel pump situation before that back trailer starts turning. Now, in exchange for that drawback and the minor drawback of additional crack and whip effect on a windy day, you will be rewarded handsomely. Now, some jobs pulling doubles might get you home every night, and other jobs, like the one that I do, pay a little bit more than what you would get pulling a dry van trailer. And many of the employers that offer doubles, such as FedEx Freight, the various contractors at FedEx Ground, and UPS, will offer additional pay and benefits to those people who pull doubles. And there's plenty of operators out there that are just pretty much doubles only, too. So, I would encourage you, if you're just getting your CDL for the first time, to get as many endorsements as you can. And if you're getting a career change on your mind, perhaps because your company just closed, or perhaps because you're looking to change careers, I would suggest adding a doubles endorsement to your license. Because it's very cool. The additional pay is worth it for the additional challenge. And it's definitely much more fun than just pulling a dry van. So until next time, let's make your next trip your best trip. And oh, one more thing. My favorite switch on the older model Cascadias prior to 2017 is the switch that controls the little light underneath the nightstand. Because, well, that little light has saved me from having to fumble around in the dark trying to find my medication and my personal items. So, let's make your next trip your best trip, and bye for now.